Hi everyone, it's me Dan. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a long time since I've been on, but I've been very busy. I've been finishing my novel Akuta, which is now available, and I've had a new child, and I'm working full-time, so finding time to do videos has been very difficult. But thanks for sticking around, and I do have a book I want to talk about today. So today's book is A Court of Thorn. Here we go. A Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. She's a New York Times bestselling author, and this is the book that I read. Now, I did this. It's something I typically don't do. I typically don't like this type of genre of book, but I bought it for my 18-year-old daughter. Yes, I have an 18-year-old daughter and a 4-month-old son. So, what to do? But I bought it for her thinking it was a little bit kind of outside of her normal box, and then I wanted to be able to read it and share that experience with her. So I went outside of my normal box to get a book that I typically would not buy. So I've changed my format a little bit, and at a certain point I'll give you a spoiler alert so I can talk a little bit more in depth about the story. But I'm going to start off just with my overview thoughts about this book. So what I found looking about this novel online is that people either really love it or they hate it. Okay. I thought it was a young adult book because that's how it's marketed, but it's really not. It's an adult fantasy novel. So if you're thinking about buying this for your little kids because it seems like a cool and it seems to be marketed that way, you may want to reconsider. Generally speaking, I thought the story was not well constructed. It's kind of broken. There's problems with a lot of characters, inconsistencies, and more failures in logic than you would expect in a book that's sold so well. So, do I recommend it? You know, not me. You know, I think it would be a harmless book for preteens, but because it throws in some more adult scenes, it's really, you know, doesn't really fit in any category. It wants to be young adult, but it throws in this other stuff, and I just don't think it does a very good job. So why is that? Okay, so here's your spoiler warning, because now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the plot so I can explain my general feeling. So it's a good time to stop it if you want to go read the book and then come back and see if you agree with me or not. So, ready? All right, let's go. So, the plot. It's basically a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, it's Beauty and the Beast. In this case, Fire, F-E-Y-R-E, which again, I don't like it when people do that. If you're going to name her Fire, just so F-I-R-E. She's the protagonist and the hero of the story. Well, she kills a fairy, and because of this, she's dragged into a magical land where she must live forever. There she finds a powerful and mean fairy named Lord Tamlin. And of course, he's mean and scary, but I love you. I love you. I never liked the message of Beauty and the Beast. I don't like it in its original form, and I don't like it in this book. Basically, a young woman's kidnapped or blackmailed into a prison where she is tormented only to fall in love with her tormentor because, you know, he's really just misunderstood that whole I kidnapped you and locked you in a house, and that's just misunderstanding. He's really a good guy at heart. You just have to see through the beast. Anyway, I think everything about that messaging is really bad, and I really wish Beauty and the Beast would fall off the end of the planet, and we'd never have to hear that story again. I've got 3 daughters. I don't want them to think that that's proper behavior by the men in their lives that, you know, would get kidnapped and locked in a house, and then you'll fall in love with them, and then your life will be magical. It's just a really crappy messaging. Anyway, but let's talk about some of the novel structure. It's poorly constructed. The book is poorly constructed. It just is. You can see that there's this third part of the book is an add-on. So Sarah wrote her story. I can just see it. It went into the publisher. The publisher said, well, you know it's a little bit short, you need to expand it here and expand it there. And I think that's why there's these bits in there that are broken, and you're like, where did that character go? Why does that storyline matter? She's just putting filler in there because the editor said so. And it's super obvious in the final part of the book, or the last act, if you would, because it's completely disconnected from the rest of the storyline, and it's actually much more like a Harry Potter, whodunit. I have to go through these 3 tests, and then I'll be free. And then for shock value, there's rape in there, and it's just like, just doesn't do it. Storylines like the father and sister storylines, oh, this is a big deal. Yeah, they just drop off the table, so they go nowhere. There doesn't seem to be any real emotional value for the protagonist either. So, what's the point? I find this to be, it's a surprise to me it's a New York Times bestseller. Maybe that's because it's a familiar story that people like, and it's told slightly differently, and there's soft porn romance in it. And of course, we all know sex sells, so maybe that's why. And the main character just drove me crazy, by the way. So she's supposed to be this independent woman, hunter, or whatever, and then she's supposed to be this weak and fragile thing who needs their tormentor to love her so that she feels fulfilled. But what really drove me crazy is the book structure. It was like this: don't stick your hand in the crocodile's mouth. And then the character Fire would go, I know, I'll stick my hand in the crocodile's mouth. And that's the whole book, time after time. And you end up going, is this character stupid? I mean, why do I care about this stupid character? She's stupid because she falls in love with this person that kidnapped her, threw her in the house and locked her away. And I mean, come on. And then she's stupid by her actions. Don't do this. Oh, I'll do this. Don't light yourself on fire. Oh, I wonder what this will feel like. Oh. It's just very frustrating. So while I'm happy that there's an author, I'm not hating on Sarah Maas, by the way. There is a good lesson to be learned in a book like this, I think. So obviously, if she wasn't selling books, the publisher wouldn't publish them, right? So that's good. But what's really good is the publisher has shown faith in an individual author. They see something in her, and they're allowing her to develop her craft. It's just like if you were a carpenter. The first time you make, I don't know, say a chest of drawers, it's not going to be that great. 20 years later, you're going to be making masterpieces. So maybe this isn't a masterpiece novel, but the publishers obviously and the editors like Sarah's writing style. They like her ideas. They're encouraged that she finishes her work, etc. And so they're willing to make a long-term investment in her. And that's necessary if we want to have quality writers in America. Your first novels are very rarely going to be perfect, but 20 years later you're going to be a master of your craft. You're going to be writing novels that are just really wonderful. So good for Sarah for being on that track, and I wish her all the best. But that doesn't mean that this book doesn't fall flat for me, and I do recognize that I'm prejudiced against it right off the bat because it's a Beauty and the Beast story, and I just, honestly, folks, can we come up with some other messaging for young women besides get kidnapped and that kidnapper will be the love of your life? Just doesn't work for me. Anyway, so with all that said, Sarah J. Maas's Court of Thorn and Roses, I wouldn't recommend it, but it's not really my genre anyway. Oh, I forgot, I wanted to talk about the back here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reviews on the back from Booklist, USA Today, the Huffington Post, RT Book Reviews, I don't know who they are, and Kirkus. So I know 4 out of the 5 of these book reviewers. And if you don't know this, publishers pay for book reviews. And so all these book reviews are kind of, obviously this is great. So let's look at the Booklist thing. Simply dazzles. Maas's Throne of Glass series has been a smash hit, and this new series is primed to follow in its footsteps. they're not actually saying that this is a good book. What they're saying is that it sold a lot, and her next book will probably sell a lot too. So that's honest, but it's not actually talking about this particular book. This is USA Today. Sarah J. Maas delivers what might be her best work to date. I hope not. Enchanting, spellbinding, and imaginative. There's nothing imaginative about it at all. It's a retelling of this age-old story, Beauty and the Beast. It's not an original story in any shape or form. The world building is stellar. No, it's not. There's too many inconsistencies, and it's like she's still figuring it out. This is like notes on what her world might be like when it's refined. Lots of holes in it. The Huffington Post, suspense, romance, intrigue, and action. This is not a book to be missed. You can miss this one. RT Book Reviews, a dazzling world, complex characters, and sizzling romance. There's no complexity in these characters at all. They're all dumb as doornails. The world is interesting. It's an interesting concept, but it's not fully formed, so I'll give them that. Kirkus, the sexual tension and deadly action are well supported by Mass's expertly drawn, multi-dimensional characters and their nuanced interpersonal dynamics. Sexy and romantic. I found the characters to be silly, frivolous, not consistent. So I would disagree with Kirkus's review. But I do recognize that this is not my genre. I don't like fantasy romance novels. I don't mind romance in my fantasy novels, but I don't want them to be fantasy romance novels. So, and also you got to remember the Beauty and the Beast story. I think I've said this 1,000 times. I really just don't like it as a storyline. So, but if you like this genre, probably all these things are true, and these are probably these reviews written by people who like this genre. So, and obviously, again, it sold a lot of copies. So, don't take my word on it. If you like that genre, you will probably enjoy this book, but you will find those flaws in there. But again, if you like the genre, you can ignore them, and that's how it is. So, anyway, with all that said, it's good to be back, and have a happy holidays. I will see y'all next time.